Hi. You get me today. Those online, thank you. And watching on Wednesday, appreciate it. You are loved. Today, it's going to be an interesting. You never know what I'm going to say, are you? It's going to be. Sarah knows. She's like, well, we come for the surprise. But in this, I was recently watching or listening. You can do both now. A podcast with Carl Lentz. Some of you guys may know who he is. Some of you never heard the name. But for those that need remembering, he used to be the former pastor of the Hillsong Church in New York City, also known as Justin Bieber's pastor. There you go. 4 years ago, he made Good Morning America. It's not like what he did was just like a little tabloid and they wrote about it and is just forgotten. He made headline news. He had an affair. And he lost everything. And listening to a few of his podcasts and his interviews as he's starting to be more back in the, out and being seen, I thought of a lyric during one of it, and it's by DC Talk. It's a song from 1995. It's when I got saved. I used to think 1990s weren't that far away. I was like, oh my gosh. Whew, the wrinkles are real and the gray hair is real. The 90s weren't yesterday. But it's a song by DC Talk. It's the first tape my grandma bought me when I got saved. And it's a song called What If I Stumble? And in it says, what if I stumble? What if I fall? What if I lose myself and I make fools of us all? Would the love continue when the walk becomes a crawl? What if I stumble? What if I fall? And it's just interesting to me how when someone in a congregation slips up, has an affair, let's just say, yes, we shake our head going, that was not good. But restoration seems to come quick. Pastors usually are like, you stink, get out. It shouldn't happen. It has happened, unfortunately, but majority of the time, there's usually restoration and a plan. Hey, let's get you back in the game, right? But when a leader falls, it seems like we like to get the firing squad out, and they should never touch a mic again. They should lose everything that they've ever had, and they're not allowed back. Especially with the rise of the internet and the keyboard warriors that are out there. We've gotten really good at expressing our opinions because I've even watched some of his, people just love to comment during his podcast, and the things they still say is absolutely horrifying, and we should be ashamed. It absolutely fascinates me how we treat leaders when they mess up. And it's just not the big name leaders. I've had not recently, but I've had one of my mentors at 19 who believed in me. 30 years later, still does not serve God. He just went off the rails. Recently, a mentor of mine that's been on Finger of God movies, friends with Darren Wilson, friends with Bill Johnson. It wasn't just like I listened to his teachings. This guy would fly down and come to my house and pour into my life. In the last year, he lost his position for spiritual abuse. And just listening to podcasts about him, it's the firing squad. He got found out, and then you got the prophetic movement going. God's cleaning house. This is what he does. He's cleaning everyone out. Everyone's being exposed. You guys, that is not a beautiful, I know it sounds spiritual, but do you understand something? Do you know pastors are people too? I'm going to have an honest moment. For 25 years, I've been a leader or a pastor title. I have not spent very much time just being a regular congregant. I have been put on the stage pretty quickly, and I have fallen very hard before. But with that, in 25 years of being a pastor, one of the things I think about Carl Lentz in this situation is, I am very lonely. It is a very lonely world sometimes pastors and leaders live in. When I have temptations or desires, and when I say that, can you please not go to the very first thing as, man, I'm going to have an affair and I have some crazy addiction? Did you know pastors have mental, struggles, spiritual struggles, doubts, fears? We physically stress out and destroy our bodies, and not always for good reasons. We have emotional breakdowns. I can't tell you how many times I've been on a hike and I have literally cried at the top of a mountain because I have no one to talk to. And I am not a name in the Christian community. No one cares if my name comes on YouTube and they go, oh, I must watch this because Steve is preaching today. But Carl Lentz has a name, and millions watched him. And I go, I wonder if he had somewhere or someone to talk to. When he saw Bathsheba, did he have someone to go to and go, man, I'm really struggling right now in keeping this straight? And I sit here sometimes in being a pastor, it's difficult. I'm not here to get any sympathy, but I remember there was a 3-year span where I was a very wounded individual, and I just worked in the secular world for 3 years. And I remember meeting with a former person I led some of you guys don't know, as a senior pastor in my 30s. And he was a former person in my church, and we met. And he asked how I was doing, which was beautiful and cool. But I decided to do what other people have done to me. I just word vomited all over him. I'm like, I am not good. I need support. I need help. I am struggling. Where is God? What is happening? I've lost everything. Anybody ever been there before? Well, this pastor has. And I said, I just need support. He goes, I got you. I said, thank you. I got one text a week for 2 weeks and never heard from him again for the next 6 years. And I said, forget it. I'll figure this out by myself. The truth is, if I ever shared some of the things that I've ever struggled with some people in church, I would probably get in a lot of trouble. But what if I stumble? What if I fall? What if I lose myself and I make fools of every single one of you in this room? Would the love continue if the walk becomes a crawl? What if Steve stumbles? What if your youth pastor falls? And as I've seen pastors fall, I don't know what I would get. And I'm not defending Carl Lentz. I'm not defending any pastor that has ever sinned. I hope you hear me in that. But I hope grace is there for me as it has been extended to congregants. But in this, and going back to the topic at hand, I'm reminded of John 8. It's one of my favorite stories in the Bible. It's the woman caught in adultery, right? What a good time this is. And they drag her to the middle because the law says she should die. Not the guy. She should die. So they grab a rock. And I'm just assuming I've never been to the Middle East. I don't know if that rock's these big. This is kind of heavy. But I can imagine I've been hit with a paintball gun in my head before and I've gotten a concussion. So can't imagine getting hit with a rock. So you think about this moment. And they're getting ready to murder a person, a human being, for yes, it's not an act where you're sitting there going, this is great. But I don't think it's a death sentence. And that's what people did with Carl Lentz. That's what they've done to two of my mentors. My youth pastor, when in my 30s, had an affair on his wife with his best friend who happened to be my associate worship leader. And I just watched people in the congregation grab rocks. And unfortunately, I grabbed one too. This message would have really helped me in my 30s. How dare you ruin my church? 12 years later, the wife, the ex-husband, and the former worship leader still don't serve God. And a lot of it deals with how we responded. We threw rocks at them. And may we remember when we grab that rock, when the next leader will fall, because it will happen. They are human. I hope it doesn't happen, but if I'm a betting man, another leader will fall. May we remember the words of Jesus when he said, "He with no sin can cast the first stone." It's an important lesson to learn. Because Romans remind us that we all, everyone say all, some of you didn't want to say that with confidence, but we all fall short of the glory of God. Every single one of us in this room. Pastors, worship leaders included. We all fall short. We all need Jesus every day. John 15 is very real. We must remain in him. We all deal with temptation. We all deal with desires. We all deal with human nature and who we are. It is very real. But the next time you see a leader stumbling, and you pick up that rock and get ready to type words that should never be typed, or say something to them that should never have been said, remember, you can easily end up in the middle someday too. And what if other people have rocks getting ready to aim them at you? And this is where I wish the church would be better with leaders, especially leaders who have fallen. This place, this community, it's not just Encounter Church, every church, should be a place of hope. Should be a place of grace. But what I love more than anything, it should be a place of restoration for everyone. You don't have to give them a mic back. Sometimes there's wisdom. But we must remember everyone is a human being. Every single person that walks in this room, and especially leaders. So I want to encourage us. And this is where I'll say this lastly, and then I'll close. You know, some of the things people said about Carl Lentz was his wife should leave him. His kids should have nothing to do with him. We heard the old normal stuff. He should never have a church again. So he went incognito for 3-4 years. And this is what I love about Jesus. He gets the last word. Amen? His wife's still with him, and his kids still love him. That's what we should root for. That the devil doesn't win over a stupid mistake. And let's not add to the noise of rooting on someone's failure and that they fall, and this is a good thing. Let's root on Jesus is going to win. Restoration will take place, and I hope someday he gets a pulpit again. That is restoration. That is Jesus. And that's what I root for and pray for. Amen?